Well, hello everybody. My name is Marcus, and I am flying solo for my wife Debbie today on Yescussions. I am branching off and doing something a little different that I've been wanting to do for a while. Is that I want to start interviewing people locally around here in Chapin, South Carolina, wherever that's got small businesses and that are hustlers, and I mean hard workers here. So I love cigars, and today the first person that I want to interview ever on this podcast is Allison Fraser, who is the owner of Stoney Creek Cigars. And I think the first time, well, hello.
Hey there, Marcus.
Good, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
No problem. And just to let people know, if you hear anything, we are at the Lazy Creek Tap House. Things change for locations, so we're here. So if you hear doors slamming or whatever, that's fine, because that's another couple I'm going to have on here to interview later on. But we got Allison here today, so I think this is great, because I think the first time we probably met was here.
Yeah.
And so she not just sells cigars. You go ahead and explain just basically what you do with them there.
So I'm called a torcedor, which is a cigar hand roller. It's a unique skill, and it's kind of a forgotten art, and I fell into it and started this business, and just right at a little over 3 years later, we're going strong and made it through the craziness of 20, and we specialize in events. So we do private parties and large festivals and specialty events and galas and fundraisers. And then we have an online store, and I don't want to do a storefront because then I have to intermingle with all the name brands, and we have our own brand, we do our own thing.
Exactly. And that's what I like about you here, because you've got so many different kinds of cigars. I mean, but by all means, I am not an expert or anything. I'm always like, well, that one tastes good, and that one's a little harsh. And so, with me, I like to have cigars, I always say, a little lighter on the palate.
Mm-hmm.
Because some are really can be a little bit more harder and such. And with that being said, now, with that being said, I was reading over, not your bio, on your website, she has a little, about me on here. And did you work for other cigar places or anything like that at one time?
No.
Or is this...
No.
You've been in the industry, like, it says you have a little bar background in the industry and such, out of college.
So I knew just enough about cigars from being in college we used to be able to sell cigars at the bars when I was in college and stuff, in Atlanta and stuff. And that was kind of the thing. That was ages ago. And so I knew just enough to get myself in trouble. And people would ask, is that one good? Sure, it's good. No. But like I said, I knew just enough to get myself in trouble, but I had an affinity for it because I had some great uncles that used to smoke pipe and smoke cigars, and so I remember that smell. And it's a nostalgia thing.
Now, is this a family? Did it start off as like a...
Kind of a family deal.
From Virginia, right?
So my husband's family is from West Virginia.
Okay.
And the namesake, Stoney Creek. So Stoney is the man who originated the company and came up with the blends and came up with the infusion process and has perfected all of this over the last 20 years. He had a factory in Myrtle Beach for a few years with some partners, and they had stuff all up and down the East Coast, and had 13 people rolling for him. They would produce 500 cigars a day, which is a good bit of cigars.
Now, this is them hand rolling all these cigars.
Mm-hmm.
But how many people do you think he had working for him?
He had 13 people rolling.
Okay.
And they would produce 500 cigars a day, which is a hefty amount, knowing what I know about rolling. But anyway, so I wanted to start my own business, and I talked with them, and Steve and his partner were kind of family through my husband, and they said, well, we're doing this. why don't you copy what we're doing? Copy what you're doing. Why don't I just distribute for you to the cigar shops? No, we'll teach you how to hand roll, and you can set up and do the festivals and do the private parties. And oh, I didn't know there was such a thing. Well, there is. So here we are.
Well, good deal. Now, how long ago was that when he started? I'm assuming he probably taught you.
Oh yeah, he taught me how to roll.
How long did it take you to?
I picked it up too quickly.
It is. I would imagine it's a learning art. It was repetitive.
It is.
And
it is.
so-
But I'm unusual, and I'm not just saying that. He taught me how to roll in a day.
Really.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, now I'm not really. I mean, is it easy to pick up? Is it something you just
Some people pick it up.
Is it just? I mean,
I've always been good with my hands, and I've always done creative stuff like
Okay.
that. So I picked it up easily. It's not something most people pick up because there's a little bit of coordination. There's a little bit of just kind of. Stoney called it reading the leaves, and that sounds silly, but being able to see where you need to make the cuts and how to shape the leaf so you can get it to do what you need it to do.
well, it's an art. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah,
It's like an art to be had there and to be done.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's an old skill. It's an old art that usually gets passed down, like that kind of stuff. And he taught me, and he said, you picked up the essentials of it in a day. Practice for a couple weeks and see where you go. 3 weeks later, I booked my first rolling event.
Was this here in South Carolina that you booked it, or was you still up?
No, it was here. It was
Okay.
here. He came down from West Virginia and taught me.
Oh, okay. So he was never up there. Came down here and did it all like there.
Yeah, no, he brought me all the materials and stuff, and we bought our materials and stuff from them. They were our suppliers for the last 3 years. They have since now retired.
Now we kind of touched on that. How's that going?
They have now retired, so I am the only Stoney Creek Cigars in the United States, which is overwhelming. But we are expanding, and we're growing to where we're going to have some other functionality on the back end. It's not going to make any difference with our customers, but make it a little bit easier for us so we can expand into production and stuff like that. So.
But still all hand rolled.
Oh yeah,
all
so,
done by you.
Yeah, so I've got a line of hand roll. I've got 3 now. I'm working on 2 other blends, and we've got a line of infused cigars, which I know you're also a fan of.
Now explain to people when you say infused, because you go to a brick and mortar shop and you'll say infused and such. If someone doesn't know anything, how would you describe that?
So our infused is probably different than most of them. Most of them that are quote infused are just flavored. They use artificial flavorings, and some of them are done with some of the spirits and stuff like what we use, but most of them are artificial. We actually soak the cigars and they rest in the whatever their spirit that we're using. We call it marinating them.
Yes.
For 30 days. So they soak in the bourbon, they soak in the cognac, they soak in the spiced rum for 30 days. And then now there's a period of drying time, and it's even longer because we're in the humid South Carolina. It's not quite as much in West Virginia. Their humidity level's a little bit different. But now we're pushing 7 to 10 days drying, and it used to be about 5 days, 5 to 7 days in West Virginia.
Well, hopefully that's going to change.
Well,
With South Carolina weather.
After this summer, maybe, but I still think it's going to be pushing at least 7 days to dry. Yeah. So that pushes our timeline out of how soon we can get inventory out. That's why this summer, that's all I've been doing is cranking out infused cigars.
I know. So I think are you still working with? Well, I'm so bad with names. I've been keeping to myself and chafing. The company out on off 378 that you have.
The distillery?
Yes.
Yeah.
That. What's the name of that cigar?
Stoney Creek Distillery.
That is an amazing cigar. It tastes good. Now, I did get the, I'll call it the barber.
The barber pole.
The barber pole. I just think it's a beautiful cigar. That's why I want it.
Yeah, it's that's our signature right now. That's one of our fullest, our medium to full cigar. It's the 2-tone cigar. But our infused cigars are they're a little different. They are hand rolled, but we have a partner factory in the Dominican Republic that rolls them for us.
Right.
So we can have quantity because of the delay in process and timeline. And then we get them, they're aged, and then we get them and we have them imported in, and I take them and soak them. And like I said, they're soaked for 30 days, rested, marinated, and now we've got a drying process, and then I band them and they're ready to go. So we're looking at probably 45 days from the time I get them to the time they're done,
So
ready
you,
to go.
Are you drying these all at your house? Or
Yeah, I've got them everywhere.
okay, which brings me to the next thing. I asked if I can ask about this.
Yeah.
Anyone who's looking or listening here, I guess you're looking for the kind to separate home from work.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
and I tell you, I think everything's about environment, but also it is nice to have I think you're ready to branch out to have a little bit more working space. I would imagine everything starts in the home. Because I tell you, this girl's a hustler. This woman, she is a hustler. We're going to get on her events soon, but I guess you're looking for a place to work.
I just need a
I'm
workspace.
sorry.
Yeah, I need a workspace, a warehouse workspace. It doesn't need to have a retail storefront. I just need up to 1,000 square feet. That would be more than enough space. 500, 800 is plenty.
With air conditioning.
It does need to be climate controlled. It does need to be climate controlled. It can't just be some back of the warehouse. And that's my only stipulation. Someplace locally within 20 minutes of Lexington, because that's where I'm based out of.
I'm sure it's going to come up somewhere.
Yeah,
I've
put it out there, so I'm sure it'll come back to me 3 or 4 fold.
I'm sure it will. And I'll keep my eye out for it. I also
very
get
much.
Debbie because she's a little real estate on the side, and
Yeah,
maybe she might could, with her connections and things like that.
thank you.
Now, let me ask you this. I guess social media is probably one of your biggest advertisers that you got going, because what platforms are you using right now?
Instagram and Facebook. And I do actually partner with another ad platform. We're one of the preferred businesses for the My Base Guide.
Mm-hmm.
If you're familiar
never
with
heard of
that,
them.
it's a guide that they promote on the local military bases across the country, and each base has their own, I guess, distinct businesses that are available to each base that focus in on what the people that live around the base or on the base would need. I couldn't get into Fort Jackson, but we support Shaw Air Force Base out Sumter.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
It's good
So we do a little advertising through them just to try to push our stuff, because I know I've got some
Have you
fans
seen?
out there.
Do you have people who buy from y'all? I know where Shaw is. Do you have people who call you up and say, "I want to have someone put an order in"?
I
from you
get
from that?
stuff from Camden and Blythewood, and we've met some people out that way at some events and stuff. So I know there's a following. So this is just another way for us to get out towards that direction.
I follow you on Instagram. I follow you on Facebook. I tell you, your pictures, your advertisements, very professional. You do a very good job on
Takes
that.
up a lot of my time that I need
It
to be
is.
doing rolling.
I have great ideas, but I got no skills with these hands when it comes to the laptops and things like that. And so, now, what type of events have you been doing? Just what's been going on?
Well, the summer we kind of scaled it back a little bit so we could build up production and inventory. What we typically do is any private parties.
Right.
So if you've got a birthday, an anniversary, a wedding, just to get together with buddies. We do a lot of bourbon or whiskey cigar pairing nights. And this summer I've done a couple of fundraisers for different things. We tend to support veterans causes or law enforcement causes. And I'm kind of selective about my fundraising stuff, but there's 2 or 3 that I get behind.
Right, I do see you do a lot of veteran runs. I've seen that on poker night, on poker runs. With motorcycle. I ride a motorcycle myself. You ride too, don't you?
Yeah, we double up. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Did you get your own?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
We need to get there for a ride one afternoon. We'll get later on that right there.
Yes.
But yeah, I've seen. I tell you, I love. You got a beautiful setup. I've seen pictures. You done weddings.
Yes.
Kind of like a wedding venue. I'm assuming that's what it was.
Yeah, we do all the receptions. We do engagement parties. We do big galas and any type of corporate events, that sort of thing.
Good deal. Good deal. Now, are you to the point now where you kind of finding where are they seeking you out, or are you out there beating the street, knocking on the doors?
It's a little
How's
of both,
it kind of going?
but they're seeking me out, and I'm actually having to turn down stuff because I'm overbooked. In the fall,
I feel your pain.
This fall, I'm a little crunched, but I'm looking out into the spring. I've got 2 of 3 weekends of 4 in March already booked.
All right, well, that's good. That's very good there. What about for football season? You do like a lot of football events or anything like that, or just?
I don't get in. Usually football that doesn't have any. Well, we don't usually do tailgating football things.
Right.
Yeah, that's not something that somebody's asked about.
Now, I will say, you know about being in different places. So we talked about this. My acquaintance friend, John Jones.
Mm-hmm.
You actually, is he the only? I guess you had his. He owns a cigar shop in Aiken. I guess you carry.
I do. They sought me out. John and Crystal Jones. They sought me out a few months back and asked if we would come down and do an event. And we came down and did a rolling event at their shop in Aiken, Iron Horse Cigars. And we hit it off, so they started carrying our line. So they have our infused line, and they've got 2 of my hand rolls, 2 of the naturals.
Good.
In the shop.
Good. Another, he's a veteran first responder.
Mm-hmm.
Love to see him. Out here he's been doing very well in his business.
Yeah, they've been doing
which
good.
does me well to see you out in there.
They're doing good. I just resupplied them with another load of inventory last week.
Well, that's good. So how's your inventory looking right now?
We're okay, starting for the beginning of September. It's a non-stop process. I have to keep inventory, keep manufacturing stuff, soaking and rolling every week. I don't have a day. I don't have days off. So when I'm not doing events, that's what I'm doing.
Exactly. Well, let me ask you.
It's usually like a 6-day work week for us. For me.
How do you find your balance in life with that right there? I meant.
Until I get enough inventory built up to feel comfortable, and then when we start getting into stuff, I'll know how much I need to. When we get back into heavy events in September, I'll know how much more I need to be doing, or where I'm at. But I always want to have more than I need because
naturally, I would imagine.
On top of the events, and we get online orders, and I have regular customers call me and stuff and say, "Hey, I need this, I need that, I need a box of this, I need a bundle of that," and I have to be prepared to make that happen and not make them wait. So it's a fine line I'm working, and I'm still working it out and tweaking it. And I need somebody with an Excel spreadsheet that knows how to do it.
Don't get me. I know. Excel. It's a great tool, but I don't know how to use it.
I'm not good at it.
Well, you go with your hands.
I'm creative, but I can't. There's certain programs I don't do.
Well, great. I know that. So, well, we're going to go ahead and just wrap it up right here. Is there anything else you'd like to add or anything like that?
No, I appreciate you having me.
Well, no.
It's pretty cool that you asked me to do this. I was like, what?
I know. You sound a little hesitant at first, like what's going on here, but This is something that I've been wanting to do. I tell you, both Debbie and I were very pro. You may not see me in all your events and such and so, but I tell you, I'm a huge supporter. I pass your name along a lot right there. I get a cigar when I can, but we love to try to keep everything local or keep it business owned.
Yeah.
If anything, in our area right here, we got so much talent.
Yeah.
I think in all lines of businesses that we have here. But I'm honored that you're my first one on here.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be the first one.
Well, good deal. Well, what a better place. What a better place to have it here. We can have a beer or two and just catch up after that.
Yeah,
So,
I appreciate you talking with me.
no
Thank you very
problem at
much.
all. No problem. And then again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Yescussions. This is Marcus, and I will catch you next week.